Hello, precious traveller. Fancy seeing you here. Why don't you join me by the fireside for some comfort and cheer? Come now, dear one. Take some tea and settle in. For today's story, we are about to begin. Whispers before the moonrise. A pale glow lingered on the horizon as the townsfolk of Brightfield stirred with anticipation. For now, each month, on the eve before the full moon, the cobbled streets of the town centre were transformed. Clusters of driftwood and fallen branches were arranged into a rising bonfire, lanterns hung from wrought iron hooks, and wooden benches were set in a wide semicircle. This ancient practice, once woven into the heart of old Brightfield, had fallen silent for generations, its embers cooled by time and change. But tonight, a renewed spark kindled in the villagers' hearts. Below the warm lantern light of the rested paws overhangs, Antimus and his apprentice Martin unfurled dusty tomes in the inn's vast vaulted cellars. The subterranean storerooms, carved from the foundations of old Brightfield's forgotten tunnels, held more than ale barrels and foraged preserves. It held memories. Here, between sacks of parchment and the tang of fermented apples, they discovered yellowed manuscripts referencing the monthly lunar gathering, where scholars, dreamers, and villagers alike would convene to share tales of distant places and hidden lore. Word of the discovery carried swiftly up the spiral stairs where Keo, leaf-laden satchel in hand, paused mid-polish of the bar counter. His ears twitched as he absorbed the news. The old tradition could be reborn. Outside, the garden's twilight hush gave way to a ripple of excitement that reached Han in the kitchen, where he paused in a mid-stir of savoury broth, imagining the glow of the bonfire illuminating eager faces. Meanwhile, Namaria, delivering a fresh batch of rosehip pastries, caught snippets of conversation. The promise of ancient stories stirred something in her gentle heart, and she resolved to lend her voice and warmth to this rekindling of community. Later, she wandered to the forge where Sol, hammer in hand, paused beneath the flicker of his lantern, intrigued by the notion of a fire lighting not just flames, but the memories of generations past. As twilight deepened, Namaria and Sol wove through the lanes, affixing simple flyers and whispering hopes of shared wonder. At the edge of the woods, they found Kitsu tending a circle of rare moonlit herbs. Her sandy golden fur shimmered under the first stars as she examined the glowworms dancing among the foliage. At Namaria's invitation, Kitsu's eyes gleamed with playful delight. The chance to build a bonfire was a permission to dance with flame itself, unbridled. By dusk, the village square was alive with quiet preparation. Loose stones were shifted to clear a wide hearth. Nearby, wooden benches glowed with fresh coats of oil. Lanterns strung on ropes overhead cast pools of warmth on the cobbles. The air was heavy with the scents of pine, damp earth, and a faint sweetness of Namaria's pastries. At the hour when the first sliver of the moon crested the eastern rooftops, the gathered townsfolk, bakers, blacksmiths, innkeepers, weavers, and curious children, fell silent as Kitsu set the first logs ablaze. The fire soon flickered to life, its amber tongues licking the night sky, and a hush of reverence settled over the crowd. Amid the glow, attention turned to Mr. Van Horn. Tall and cloaked in dark folds, his pointed ears caught the firelight as he stepped forward with measured grace. Though he had seldom taken the centre of a Brightfield gathering, his reputation as an erudite traveller and scholar was undisputed. Tonight, the villagers entrusted him with a tale both ancient and grand. The story of the 7 great libraries of Thaloria, of vanished halls of knowledge, and of mysteries waiting to be unearthed beneath the iron-crest peaks. A gentle breeze stirred the embers as Van Horn paused, gazing into the faces drawn close by curiosity. The hush deepened, and the world held its breath in that luminous circle before the full moon's ascent, ready at last to listen to echoes from a forgotten age. The bonfire's amber glow danced across weather-worn cobbles as Mr. Van Horn stepped into its circle of light. His dark hooded cloak rustled softly, and the pointed tips of his elven ears caught the firelight, giving him an otherworldly presence. Around him, faces young and old reflected flickering warmth, eyes bright with anticipation between lantern-lit ropes overhead. He began by tracing the earliest days of Thaloria, when kingdoms rose upon the magic of ink and parchment. In those distant times, 5 grand libraries had stood as pillars of learning, each a marvel of soaring arches and rune-etched shelves. Their founders were archmages and sages who believed that knowledge, once gathered, must be safeguarded against the ravages of war, betrayal, and the slow erosion of time. Over the centuries, 2 more libraries had been added, bringing the total to 7. Each was consecrated beneath a different celestial alignment: the moon's crescent, the sun's zenith, the fall equinox, the dawn solstice, the veil between worlds, and the gathering of the northern lights. The only surviving library still standing was in Aurelian, its stained glass windows and marble columns a testament to careful preservation. But Mr. Van Horn's gaze drifted upwards, towards the dark canopy where the full moon would soon reign. As he spun tales of the other 6, each lost or hidden, their tomes scattered for safekeeping. He spoke of the azure spire, once perched atop a lonely isle in the northern seas. When storms ravaged its foundations, its custodians, notable for their mysterious golden eyes, evacuated priceless manuscripts aboard the moonlit galleon, a vessel bound by runic sails that harnessed the ocean's own enchantments. Further east, beyond the Iron Crest peaks, lay the Cloud Reach archive, said to float on currents of air and mist. There, a fleet of sky schooners, grand airships carved from ivory and spun silver, had borne precious scrolls and treasures to distant havens. Those entrusted with its secrets wore circlets that glowed like stars. To the south, in the verdant lowlands, the emerald hall had fallen to creeping vines and sentient roots. Its surviving codices was secreted away through networks of forest whispers delivered in leather-wrapped parcels by woodland creatures guided by silent, golden-eyed guardians. In the western deserts, the sundial repository vanished beneath shifting sands. Its salvaged atlases and alchemical volumes had been passed along to desert caravans, brightly bejeweled camels that carried their cargo beneath the burning sun and into hidden oasis libraries. High in the frost-kissed tundra, the frost-bound Athenaeum had collapsed under ice and storm, but before its end, its scholars entrusted irreplaceable treasures to magic sleds drawn by spectral huskies, their eyes gleaming like molten gold. And beneath the waves of a crystal lagoon, the Coral Codex, its coral-encrusted halls echoing with the songs of merfolk, had sealed itself away. A single leather-bound volume, rumoured to contain the key to harmonizing water magic, was last seen in the hands of a sea captain whose crew bore the signs of golden-eyed devotion. Throughout the night, the firelight painted shifting patterns on Mr. Van Horn's features as he wove these stories into one tapestry of loss and hope. The listeners could almost taste the salt spray from the moonlit galleon, feel the creaking timbers of a skyship, and glimpse the creeping green vines reclaiming the marble. The slow rhythm of the flames matched the beating hearts of those who dreamed, who wandered, who yearned to follow paths forgotten by time. As the embers cooled and the moon reached its zenith, the villagers rose with a new sense of purpose. Antimus and Martin exchanged excited glances, both clearly inspired by what they had heard. Namaria's fragrant pastries, honey cakes studded with dried berries, and Han's rich warming stew had filled everyone's bellies and steadied their spirits. Kio's leaf-laden benches and Kitsu's perfectly laid kindling had crafted the perfect setting, while Sol stood by Namaria's side, the flicker of firelight deepening the honeyed hue of his eyes. In that moment, Sol was seen anew, not just as the town's steadfast blacksmith, but as someone whose calm strength and silent watchfulness mirrored the golden-eyed custodians of Van Horn's tales. The townsfolk departed with hearts alight, full of wonder and a hunger for discovery. Seeds of intrigue were sown beneath the silver glow of the moon, promising that before long, brave souls from Brightfield might set out in search of lost libraries, guided by the relics and whispers of Thaloria's grand, vanished past.